It's always a pleasure to speak with you, man. So thank you for the time.
Yeah, thank you for the ongoing support, and thank you for spreading the word about the upcoming Nashville concert.
It's funny. I was like, man, I think this is going to be your third time appearing on the podcast. So I don't have any like parting gifts or ribbons or anything. I just have my appreciation and admiration of you as an artist and as a person of positivity, man. So again, thank you.
Thanks for having me back on. Third time's the charm.
Yeah, hopefully so, man. Well, I got a lot to get to with you, man. I know the first time we talked was about, I guess, maybe 3 years ago now, and we mentioned, kind of talking about new album, and you were kind of gearing that way, and there was really no timetable. And then obviously, the album is officially out, came out this spring, so congratulations. I know a lot of work went into it. With the album, was there any? What was the in studio vibe for you? Being the first time, kind of recording new music in a while. What was the vibe like for you?
Well, it was satisfying on many levels. Because despite the fact there had been such a delay or so much time had gone by since a formal full-length album was released, I had been recording in many different capacities pretty consistently. But that actually had become daunting in a way because I had material that I had been working on for so long. I mean, even some songs going back to 2005 that in the final stretch, I mean, which for me was the past year, that became this home stretch of pulling everything together, all these disparate, different threads of material into one, hopefully cohesive statement. It was very meaningful. It just to get all of that done once and for all. It kind of felt like finishing a house you had been building, but at the same time moving out of that house that you had been building. So it was very cathartic.
Yeah, I would imagine so. Initially, when you're looking back at maybe stuff that you had written or planned, as far as to be songs that was some stuff maybe even 10 years old, if not more. But what was the filtering process? Obviously, you had a batch of songs you went in there with. Did you have an idea? Did you have like 20 or 30 songs and they had to dwindle it down to a certain number, or?
Yeah, even more so, and that was another symptom of the amount of time that I've been working on this. Ideas did pile up. There was probably more than 30 or 40. And at that point, you just turn yourself over to some kind of instinctual vision to make these choices. It's not easy. You're just trusting some kind of emotional guidance system to say, okay, I'm going to set this one aside. I'm going to keep working on this one. Of course, there was material that I finished all the way, and then the last second decided not to put on the album, to hold off or to save for the next one. That's not an unusual part of the process, but there was just more of that because so much time had been spent accumulating all these different tracks.
Well, the album's great, man, and I love the title of the album as well. You Are Not Alone. Was that kind of something that you wanted to put out there as far as title's concerned? Obviously, the message is there with the album. I think is pretty self-explanatory. But given everything that's happened with some music icons, Chris Cornell, Chester Bennington, and a few others, was that something that you wanted to kind of shed more light on? And I think it's something. I think as a society we should shed more light on, as far as people leaving us way too early.
Well, of course, it's always painful. I don't actually recall exactly when the title came along in relation to other events. There's obviously a timelessness, I'd say even a generic, cliched quality to that title. It's not a phrase that anyone hasn't heard before. So I suppose what I was interested in specifically or personally was the multiple ways of interpreting a phrase like "you're not alone." Of course, on one hand, it's comforting, but it can also be rather disconcerting or even menacing. This idea of a presence being there, it can be haunting or it can be uplifting, and that is something I related to, being someone who's felt lonely at times, and also someone who's wished they could be alone more often. And the whole album, really, I tried to explore the contrast and the opposite sides of maybe one idea that at first seems quite simple and one-dimensional, but contains within it many multitudes of interpretation.
Now, you mentioned there, wanting to have some alone time, and I mentioned, as someone who's pretty well known and famous, do you have moments where you wish you could just go to the grocery store or go sit at a cafe and not have anybody notice you and just kind of be in your own element and just kind of enjoy your coffee or drink or sandwich or whatever it is you're doing?
Well, yeah, that's not ever been a problem for me. Just I'm not really that famous, so that's not so much what I meant about being alone. Although I can certainly try to imagine if I was, gosh, I don't know, just some much more prominent figure. From time to time I get recognized, but not in any way that would make me suffer from anxiety or stress related to that. It's more, I suppose a sort of perverse relationship with alienation. There's times when you're reaching out and wanting to connect with something more than yourself, and then there's times when I really resent that connection and want complete isolation and removal from everyone. Not so much the public or strangers or the world at large, but much more from that kind of close intimacy. But these are ideas that, as you can see, I even struggle to articulate and understand myself. That's, I suppose, one of the fun things, or one of the satisfying parts about music or working on some kind of creative statement, is you get to explore these ideas that are kind of hazy in a way that's more emotionally felt than intellectually understood.
And I think that's really well put, because I don't think we ever stop, at least as human beings, never stop trying to evolve and trying to figure out these things that happen to us in life, regardless of its, there's a multitude of things that you can come across, and I have trouble articulating it myself at times. But I know, you're a very positive individual, and I know you always are offering people these positive things, whether it be on Facebook or Twitter, and in person at shows. And I think the new music video, "Music Is Worth Living For," is a kind of an anthem for your positivity and enlightenment you shed on others. With all this new material and everything that's going on in the world right now, the political environment we're in, I don't want to get on a big tangent with that, but I think you've talked about on your podcast about maintaining positive and positivity when maybe others are being very negative. Can you kind of interject a little bit on that? How you keep that positivity up, considering there's so much just vile going, just kind of evil vitriol going on with some of our supposed leaders?
I think it actually connects very well to the last topic in terms of there are multiple dimensions to the way you feel throughout the day, and I think it would be unwise, unhealthy, and unnatural, certainly, to be negative all day long, as we're saying. No one wants that. But surprisingly enough, it's just as unnatural and, I would say, unhealthy and maybe impossible to be positive all day long too. And sometimes the things we might think of negative, especially in ourselves, are positives in disguise. Meaning we can't be too quick to judge these very subtle and nuanced experiences in such a black and white way. This is good, this is bad. Our mind is very tempted to do that, but our heart sees that these are more delicate situations that deserve a great amount of patience. We deserve to be patient with ourselves and, by extension, patient with the world as much as we can, to be able to tolerate frustrations and imperfections that we find in ourselves and the people around us, but always be striving towards growth. I think that's the real key, to be humble and to be trending as much as possible towards a direction that is worth our best effort. Because the pressures of life and what we might call the bad parts of life, or the unfortunate things, they will bring something out of us. And if we focus, they can bring out our best that we have inside. So even what we might consider a really horrible event or a horrible experience or a horrible feeling can ultimately lead towards goodness. That's the goal, at least.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, man. Shifting gears on you a little bit, Andrew, here. The tour starts August the 19th. You guys are going to be coming back into Nashville kind of towards the end of the show in September on the 25th at the Basement East, and looking forward to catching you guys live again. This time you're bringing a full band with you. I think a couple years ago when you came through Nashville, you played at the Exit, and I think it was just you doing solo. So what was the idea this time around, bringing a full band out with you with this new album?
Well, I've been very, very lucky to have many opportunities to play over the years in different capacities. Play by myself, with just a keyboard. I play with a string quartet, do lectures and motivational speaking tours, which I did do in Nashville in 2016, as well as throughout this entire party adventure, also play with my live band. So it's been importantly to me as much as possible to keep all those varieties of performance style going, because I learn a lot from them. I think they improve my ability to perform. But that being said, nothing compares to the joy that I get from playing with my full band. It's nothing more than just the fact that these are my best friends. I mean, I've spent more time with some of these band members. We go all the way back to 2000, and we've built this together. So every show that we play together, especially all these years later, is also a celebration of what we've gotten to do together. And then to bring that celebratory attitude in connection to this music, which is designed to be celebratory, to the stage and to the people in that room is something that I feel is really the high point or the epitome of what all this has developed into. I hope people, when they are in that room with us, feel like they're part of the band as well.
Well, as someone who's seen you live, I can attest that you definitely feel a part of the show, and there's a unity there. Seeing you live now with a batch of new songs with the band, what's the set list writing like for you guys? Is that something is it kind of trial and error as the tour starts here in August, as far as what's going to play well in front of the crowd, and maybe it doesn't play as well as far as an energy standpoint is concerned? And do other people, that you've obviously played with for a number of years, they also got to get an input as far as what they want to put into the set list?
It's always a work in progress for sure, but the good part is we've been touring pretty extensively over the past year and a half, and we've perfected this set list. So for the Nashville show, we're very confident with how we have it dialed in. There's songs from all the main 4 albums. There's special moments. There's room for spontaneity, and then there's also a lot of delivering upon the promise which we've made to ourselves and to the audience. So I think it's as good as a show as we've ever been able to bring, and I don't say that lightly. But at the same time, you'd hope that 18 years in to this party adventure, all this partying has counted as practice, and we've gotten better at it. I mean, that is the goal when you're doing something
right.
repeatedly. So the harder you party, the harder you're able to party.
Let the party roll, man. I'm looking forward to it. I'll let you run here in a moment. We're kind of crunched on time. I'm always curious what you find humorous. Like, what is your kind of outlet as far as humor? Are you into stand-up? Is there certain comedies or shows or movies that you enjoy as far as the humor aspect is concerned? What makes Andrew W.K. laugh?
Well, I mean, so many things. That's probably the greatest reliable joy outside of music and maybe pizza is the ability to laugh in that irrational way at something that maybe wasn't even necessarily designed to be funny or you didn't expect to be funny. But those moments when you're not even looking for that and you find yourself crying with laughter are very special. I probably experience those most from the time I get to spend working with the band on tour. We have those moments, and sure, yeah, you never know. You might see a funny video, you might hear something on the radio. I like that very pure, I suppose, goofy comedy that is able to reveal the inherent absurdity and extreme ridiculousness of just life in general, without needing to necessarily point out any particular aspect of it. Just like you can find yourself laughing in hysterics just by running in a circle or doing a funny dance or making a funny face in the mirror. That is, to me, the kind of highest comedy. That's just finding that pure joy that's always right there, waiting to be revealed to you. I guess it's just to remember that you can't take anything too seriously.
Yeah, man, you can't lose the power to laugh. I think that's a huge component in almost every aspect. And I like that you mentioned the unexpected things. My son is 6, so every time he does something kind of silly, it always makes me chuckle. I'm like, like that's. He's like a mini me. I'm sure I did the same thing when I was 6. But, Andrew, I'll let you go, man. Best of luck to you on the road, man. Looking forward to you coming back into town here in Nashville in September. And the new album's great. We'll close out with the single as well. God, dude, I appreciate the time, man. I'm always humbled and honored when people are willing to donate their time and come on and talk about music and life and partying, of course. And it was always it's a humbling experience, man. And I've been fortunate to be doing it for this long, and hopefully I will continue doing it for even longer. But Andrew W.K, I'll let you run, man. I know you have other things going on. Good luck on the tour, man. Is there anything you'd like to say in closing?
Just don't stop partying.
Right on. It is Andrew W.K here on Revelator.